Hello and welcome to another episode of Ken's Training. Today's training is to install two electrical receptacles. They're referred to as L620s as the exact receptacles that I'm going to be installing. I'm going to be running the circuits directly from the service panel, which is over here to my left. We're going to go up the wall and then come across the ceiling. This is in a commercial office building. Above the ceiling tiles, there are metal wires or support wires that hold the ceiling grid and ceiling light fixtures in place. We're going to be attaching our flexible conduit to these coming across to the point where I want to drop down. Once I want to drop down, I'm going to go into the wall, run the flex inside the wall, and then come out. Now, basically, when I do this type of a job, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to make myself a little sketch. And if you'll just give me a zoom in right here on my little small sketch that I have. Basically, this here is the service panel. I'm going to run a conduit from the service panel coming up to a J box, a junction box. And I decided to make mine 4 5/8. And I needed to determine, okay, I'm running 2 circuits, so I put down little slashes here to determine how many conductors I'm actually going to have inside of that conduit. Because I'm running 2 circuits and it's 3 wires per circuit, there are 6 little slashes here because I included my grounds. So because of that, I cannot use a 1/2-inch conduit because that would have been too small. I'm using 3/4-inch conduit from the service panel up to the junction box. From the junction box coming over and down the wall, I'm going to run flex. Now, the flex circuits that I'm going to use are 12-2. Now, a 12-2 flex conduit is going to have 2 conductors plus the ground. That's why it's referred to as 12-2. 2 current carrying conductors, which is the black, and then the white is the neutral. In this case, I'm not using a neutral because the voltage on my L620 is actually 220 volts. So I'll have to put some tape on the white ends. I'll put some red tape to indicate both at the service panel section and at the, well, actually at the service panel section I can run red right into the service panel because I have a junction box. So basically I just make myself a little cheat sheet like that, come up with a material list. So I draw out my job, I make out a material list to determine the materials that I need to purchase and bring, and plus tools and so forth, in order to do the job. Now, first of all, for safety, I should state that you should not be doing this job unless you are a licensed electrician or you are working under the direction of a licensed electrician. This is dangerous working with electricity. We're going to be removing the service panel, and we're going to be doing it in what I believe to be a very safe format. We are going to be doing it live. So, of course, in an ideal situation, you would want to shut off the power to the service panel that you're working before you pull off the door to be in a de-energized state the entire time. That would be under the ideal conditions. Because of the environment that we work in, where other people are still utilizing this power for business purposes, we're going to do this one live, and I'll show you a way that you can do that and do it somewhat safely. Okay, some of the tools that I'm going to be using in order to do this job safely. First of all, I've got a pair of coveralls here. These are not just regular coveralls. These particular ones are fire rated. Go ahead and zoom in on that little tag right there. Now, these fire rated coveralls are going to protect you from what is referred to as things like arc flash. This is the year 2014, where arc flash is now becoming industry known and prevention and so forth and things like that. Way back when, a lot of electricians, they didn't put a lot of energy into the proper safety, the protective equipment, and trying to prevent trying to equip themselves with personal protective equipment in case an arc flash incident were to occur. An arc flash is when you cross some type of a hot to a ground directly in front of the service panel, and there's a huge spark that develops in front of you, which has a flash burn of, I don't know, 13,000 plus degrees Fahrenheit. You're going to get burns all over your exposed parts of your body. So when I open up the service panel, I'm going to be using my fire-rated coveralls. I also have an arc flash rated helmet, hard hat with face shield that I will be using. And of course I'll be wearing some gloves and so forth in order to protect myself that way. Now, when you're lining up your job and you're trying to figure out exactly the size of the conductors and what you need to do, the reference source that you want to use is the National Electrical Code, the NEC code. Short of not having the NEC code, you want to use this book here. And go ahead and zoom in on this. This is Ugley's Electrical References. You can purchase this at the Home Depot. This is a 2011 edition. And this is about $10 to $15. With this book, you can determine exactly how much current your conductors can carry. Also, I needed to know for the 3/4 inch conduit, when I'm running number 12 solid, I needed to know, okay, how many conductors can I put in that conduit safely? And this book tells you that. So it gives you formulas and things like that that you can use to help plan out your jobs. So excellent reference, definitely part of my toolbox. Another thing I'll use here is lineman's pliers, so when I bring the two 12 conductors together before I put on the wire nuts, I'll just twist them first before putting on the wire nut to give that a secure thing. And of course I'll use my volt ohm meter here, my VOM. And my favorite one here is a Fieldpiece SC number 77. And let me show you some of the other stuff. Okay, so here's some other materials needed for this job. Okay, now let's start off with the L620. This here is an L620 right here. So let me get you a nice zoom in on that. So basically it's one ground and two hots is an L620. So this is 220 volt receptacle. Now I'm going to be using this, which is a cut-in box, because I have an existing drywall. This is not new construction. I have existing drywall, so I'm going to use a cut-in box to mount my L620. To attach my flexible conduit, which is right here, about 100 feet of flexible conduit, which is 12-2, so it's MC Light, which is referred to as, or metal clad. When I attach that, the way that I like to do it is with a 90-degree clip like this. When you take a 90-degree clip like this and you attach it to the back right there, when you go to put it into the wall, rather than coming off with this type of a clip right here, if you use this type of a clip and you try to use it on the top, sometimes you have to make a larger hole than is necessary. By doing a 90-degree on the back, I can make a little bit of a tighter hole, so I'll have more drywall meat for this cut-in box to hold on to. I've got some various wire here, so the wire that I'm using is a 12 AWG wire, which is an appropriate wire. These are the breakers that I'm going to be using, which are 2-pole, because it's a 220 volt power, which is needed for the L620, so I'm using 2-pole breakers. Now these particular breakers are bolt-in. I'll show you how to bolt these on to the service panel once we get to that service panel. For my junction box up in the ceiling, this is going to be my junction box. I'm running 3/4 inch conduit, so I made sure I had 3/4 inch knockouts. On the flex conduit, because I'm going to be running 2 flexes out of here, I'm going to use 1/2 inch knockouts, which this particular box has the ability to do 1/2 or 3/4. So I am perfectly covered there. And of course I have a cover plate. Now once I run my circuits through here and I'm done with this job, I'll label the voltage on this here and the circuit, the panel, and the circuits that run through here. So if anybody comes back and they just look at that this plate, they can see exactly what is running electrically through that junction box. That's the proper way to do it. Any type of a junction box should be labeled. On the end run, at the end receptacle, of course, I'm going to label that. Panel and circuit number. I won't put the voltage. The voltage is known just by looking at the receptacle. And then I have an electrical snake here in order to run my wires. Now, when I want to come down the wall, I'm going to use this tool here, which is called a magnet pull. This is a slick tool here. This here, you run this, attach a string or something, so when I'm getting ready to pull my flexes down the wall, and this here is a magnet. You see how that does that? And then you bring that down the wall, and I'll bring my string, and then I'll bring my flex down the wall. So this is how I'm going to run my wires down the wall. Totally a trick tool. I got this at Amazon for like 130 bucks. Now when I attach my MC Lite flex conduit to the support wires of the suspended ceiling grid, use these clips here called K-clips. When you buy them at the Home Depot, they come in packages. Hang on. Package is. This is what they look like over in the Home Depot, and they call them armored cable hanging clip. Go ahead and give me a zoom in on that right there. So this is what the clips look like when you purchase them at the Home Depot, and it tells you what size, if you read the package, to make sure you're getting the correct size thickness, because depending upon your MC Lite will determine on what clips you need to use in order to support your wire. I've got these here, which is going to go into the service panel and into the junction box. So these half-inch conduit connectors is how I'm going to use that. And then when I run my conduit, I need to do a little bit of a kick out. So I got a conduit bender. This particular bender is actually a 1-inch bender, because I don't own a 3/4 inch bender, but I'm just doing a small kick out. It should not be very challenging, so I should be fine with using this 1-inch bender for what I need to do. All right, here's the service panel that I'm going to attach my 2 breakers on. I've got plenty of spare breakers in this service panel, so I'm perfectly fine as far as capacity goes. There are a number of breakers here that are even in the off position, so I have no problem with that. This particular panel is panel F. It's 120 208 volt. Now, you'll notice up at the top here, I do have an obstacle I'm going to have to come across. I've got this huge metal beam, which looks like some type of earthquake racing type product for this building. So I'm going to have to make sure that I'm in back of that. And then when I come into the panel, I'm going to do a small kick out right here and then down. And then I need to determine exactly how I want that to be. All right, now you'll notice up in the ceiling, you'll notice I've already got a couple of junction boxes. So I got to kind of figure out where I want my junction box to go. So once I get my ladder and get over here, I'll get a little bit better of an understanding of exactly how I want to punch in to this service panel and how I want to do that. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to start getting ready to figure out how I want my 3/4 inch conduit to attach to the service panel. So I'm going to get ready to do that. I'll try to show you, the audience, all the steps that I do during the process so that you can get a good understanding about how this how you do this type of a job. Okay, so let me show you the entire job. The conduit is going to go from the service panel up to the ceiling here. We're going to go across the room over to here. This right over here is where they want the receptacles to be placed. So one here and one here, approximately, into this drywall wall. So you'll see above me I've got suspended ceiling tiles. I'm going to come across, I'm going to go into the wall over here, and then down, and then land over here. It's a total distance from the junction box to down to the wall here is like about 44 feet. So I purchased 100 feet of MC Lite flex conduit. So basically that's the overall job. that we're going to be doing. And we'll start now on that conduit. All right, now I'm going to take off this service panel door. So I've got my fire-rated coveralls on. I'm going to wear my hard hat. So this is a safe way in order to pull this off. Basically, there are 6 connections there that hold this outer service panel on. So I'll turn these counterclockwise, and then you'll see I've got them labeled. This is there's a tab here. This is in the closed position. When the tab goes up, it goes to the open position. So here's the safe way how to do it. The last one I want to do is that one, because this is all the weight from the door. So wherever the door is located, the top one on the door hinge side is the last one I'm going to do. All right, now that this is opened up and I can actually see inside, the reason why I wanted to do that because I wanted to see how busy this section is over here. All right, now you'll notice that I've got this large conduit here. I've got a pretty good sized conduit here that's probably a 1 inch. This looks like a 3/4 of an inch, and then this is a 1/2 inch, and then this one here is a 1/2 inch. Now, what I want to do is I want to get into this panel, punch down my connection, and I want to do it so that there's room for other people to do things as well downstream in case I have to run another circuit. I don't want to just take up the entire deal here. And then I also want to get an idea where I want my breakers to go. So I'm thinking I could put my breakers on either side because I've got so much capacity here. I can go either way. But this left side looks kind of real busy to me. I would like to stay over here on the right side of this panel and utilize that. And looking up into the ceiling, I'm thinking that I might want to put it over in this section here. So my next step is to kind of go up into the ceiling there and see if I was to bring my conduit and dump it over here somewhere, or right here possibly, how that's going to work out there. So that's why I wanted to open this up. I wanted to see what I was up against from this side, from inside the panel side here. And now I've got to see how that's going to work out up there. Okay, so since I'm going to be having a ladder right here in front, and an extra safety precaution to take is to take some cardboard. I have removed the first panel of the panel of the service panel, and I put some cardboard here, and I'm just holding it in with duct tape. So this way I won't accidentally come in here and potentially touch the conductor, since I need to kind of figure this out. I left a little gap here just so that I could visually see what I'm working with on this side to see how busy it is while I'm doing this. But you want to have some cardboard in front of your service panel when you're not in the service panel and you're working near it for additional safety. All right, so here we are, and I decided that I want my hole to penetrate into the panel right here. This support pipe here for the building is a huge obstacle for me because I need to drill down into this panel in order to put this connection, which is for my 3/4 inch conduit. So it's not like I can really even get in this corner over here anyways, because I can't get my drill in that tight. So this is about as tight as I can get it and still come down and still not hit my obstacles up above. So this is where I'm going to go. Now what I did was to give myself a little bit of extra protection, because I've got some conductors that are live coming through here. I put some cardboard down in here. I taped that up with some duct tape. And then the cover plate, the same cover plate that I'm going to use up there for my 4 5/8 inch box, I put that and taped that in here so that if for any reason this were to slip, or the shavings of this is not going to touch those conductors and heat up and create a problem with that insulation on those live conductors. I've also got my fire-rated suit on and my arc flash hard hat with face shield. So, and basically the drill bit that I'm using, go ahead and give a zoom in on this. This is called a step bit right here. And it's perfect bit for these types of jobs. When you want to go through the metal of the service panel, I'll step that out. I actually have two different sizes. This is a smaller one, and then I have a larger one. Once it gets large enough to put in my my conduit support, then of course I'm going to stop. But basically that's it, and this is the process. So I'll just give you just to show you what that is. All right, YouTubers, now we've got the piece of conduit, which is right there. There's the empty section underneath, and we've got that running up the wall right there. I've got 3 anchors on that, so you can see that. And there's the empty junction box right up there where the wires are going to go. So we've brought it that far so far. Alright, I came over here to get my holes ready to cut out for the junction boxes. This is the hole saw that I'll use in order to cut those out. These here are the cutout boxes right here, and I just kind of put them up like that, and I made just some preliminary lines by marking around with the pencil. Then I took just took a tape measure here just to determine exactly a very tight fit how much size I need to do in order to cut it. And then I made those lines and then went around and then holding a level made nice level lines. So these are the cutout lines. First I verified that the stud location was here. These do not use a stud. These are after the wall's been built, these are cut-in boxes, so you don't attach those to the stud. The drywall is what holds them on, so you want to leave as much drywall as possible for the strength. So basically that's the process there to figure that out. Next step is to cut the holes. Alright, so here's a dry fit after cutting the hole to show you how tight that is. This is not mounted yet. This is just sitting in there. Now I do want to point out that there's a couple of screws here, 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 and here. So once I built it, because I built it so tight, I built it so that it was just that tall. I didn't even allocate enough room for the screw. But you notice the screw doesn't go back the whole depth, so you just take your hole saw here and you just kind of notch that out slightly, so when it fits in, it's grabbing literally as much drywall there as possible. Once I tighten up here and here, that'll pull these tabs. It will collapse these tabs. It will grab the drywall here on the side, holding this box very, very sturdy. So that's basically how you do a cutout. All right, so now I'm going to demonstrate how to use the magnet pole. I've got the hook with the string attached to it, and then here's the leader here. So I got a hole in the top here. So what I'm going to do is put that in the top and begin to push it down away from the stud. Keep going down. I'm going to catch it underneath there. There it is right there. Now as I'm bringing that down, the string is going down the hole. I'm not touching the stud. And you're going to see it come right out here. And there it is. And there's my string. So this is how that tool works, and you can kind of lead it around. Sometimes you got to watch out because that's a magnet too. and if you don't watch yourself, that'll, you know, attract yourself to the metal studs. But it's very attractive to this roller pad here. But basically, that's how I can run my string through the walls there, so I can pull the flex down through. So that's how that works. Okay, we've got the junction box up there. I haven't run my wires yet in the service panel. Before I get to that step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my flex and I'm going to run it from the junction box, which is way over here. I'm going to go into the ceiling, above the ceiling, over to this section over here, and then I'm going to bring it down the wall for each one of the runs. So what I do is I just take a piece of this here, like a broomstick. In this case, I just had some extra 1/2-inch conduit. Tape it to my flexible MC, and we're just going to run that up into the ceiling. And then once I get it up into the ceiling, that's when we use the K-clips, which I have right here. Once we have it up into the ceiling, we'll support the flexible cable with these K-clips onto the wires that support the suspended ceiling grid. So we'll go off camera and we'll take care of that right now. Okay, so I determined that this is how much flex I need for the first run, and this will give me enough room to go into the junction box, plus additional slack to pull the wires through, plus I gave myself a couple of feet because we still have to support it with the K-clips. This is how you cut the flex in order so that I can do my terminations and so forth. First I break it like this, and then I take a pair of tin snips, and then I just use the tin snips and just simply cut in a little bit at a time until that completely breaks out. Then, like this, and then I've got it. So basically, now we're going to go ahead and run the second line over. Okay, so now this is going to be the final product. This is what we're starting with here. We're just starting with a hole with a piece of flex coming down the wall here. This all has to be terminated, and it's got to have a 90-degree connector put on. That's going to go on this cutout box right here in the back top hole like that, so it can go into the wall like so. Once the wires are coming out of here, then they can be terminated onto this L620, which is what we're installing here. One other note, an L620 is 220 volt. The wires that we have on our flex are black, white, and green. The green and the black are fine, but the white is not. So we use some red electrical tape around the white conductor when it comes through the box here to identify that white is no longer a neutral, but a hot current carrying conductor for the 220 volts. So I do have a video specifically on how to work with MC Lite. So please check out that video. That'll teach you how to cut it and do terminations and so forth like that to make sure that there's no chafing going on or anything like that. That's one thing that you want to be careful of, that you don't have an exposed end like this. That's why when they sell the MC, they sell it with these red plastic grommets, which these here are going to go, hang on a second, these plastic grommets are going to go inside of here in order to protect the conductors as they come through. So that's it. That's the final product on this one. We still have to, go back and hook it up at the junction box and everything, but we're just kind of working from the receptacle going back towards the service panel. Okay, we're terminated on both of our receptacles. The flex wire is going up the wall over to the junction box. I have the wires into the junction box but not connected. They're all spread out. I'm going to go ahead and do a continuity check right now. So basically, this is the ground. So if I touch here and I touch here, I should get a beep, and I am. These are the two hots. They should not be connected to anything, ground or each other. That one's good. And that one's good. And then I'll do together. Okay, this receptacle is checking out good. You do the same check over here on this one. touch over here to the ground. Getting a beep, that is appropriate because it is grounded from there to the ground source here. Next, I'll check here. Now you see I'm getting a beep right there, and I should not be getting that. That is no good. There's some type of a break. Somewhere along the line, this conductor is touching the conduit. So I have to take this apart to figure out why. Let me touch this one. Nothing. And let me touch each other. Nothing. Okay, so for some reason I have a break here. I'm going to open this up and see what's up right now. All right, so I took it out of the wall here, and I took the whole thing apart so I could kind of see, and there's not really any smoking gun that I can really identify. I took out a little bit of conduit here, so when I go to put it back, it'll be a little, I'm going to cut some of this out and so forth. So basically all I'm going to do is just put this all back in, but let me show you the audience on what a good way, well, I think is a decent way on how to do this. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is I want to get my red grommet in there. So let me get a red grommet. And the way I like to do it is I put it over the plastic, and then basically where there's a sharp point here is where I'm going to put the end. And I'm going to push that on, right like so, protecting all of this right here. So right there, that should be completely good. I'll just go ahead and do a quick continuity check from here to ground. I know this, let's see, I'll just ground it to the conduit itself, nothing. The reason why you're not getting it there is because the receptacle is not installed. And nothing there. And nothing on the white, and there should be nothing to each other either. So just a quick check here. All right, so far so good. All right, now for the box. All right, what I'm going to do, because we already had a little bit of an issue here because there was potentially something compromised. I'm going to just put a little bit of extra tape on all three of these conductors. This way, in case there's a slight compromise here, I'm going to, so let me just get some red and black and green tape. I'll be right back. All right, so I've already done the red, the black. I'm just going to show you the green. Basically, I'm just cutting a small strip of green electrical tape and just kind of taking it like this and just simply wrapping it around, trying to give myself a little bit of an extra cushion of protection around this wire so that if there's a potential problem, it'll have to go through the insulation plus this electrical tape just to give me a little bit extra there, a little bit of extra protection. Now, okay, so basically I'm going to feed this in like this, and I want this to terminate so that it's capturing and holding on to that, keeping that nice and taut. And put this like so. And now I'll begin to put the screws in. And then it's going to go into the wall. All I have to do is tighten these down. Okay, so far so good. Okay, now we're getting ready to go into the wall. And that just comes up like so. Straighten this out. Now when you tighten up your wings, you want your box to be level, so you want to hold that level. And then tighten up your wings a little at a time First one side, then the other side. That's actually very tight, just like that. I don't need to go any further. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and wire up my receptacle, flat-bladed screwdriver. Now, as far as the wire coming out here, I don't really need all that wire, so I'm just going to put some wire strippers here and trim that out a little bit. Okay, so basically I'm just going to trim this back a little bit. I'm just going to take off about that much, just so I don't have a whole bunch of wire inside pushed back here. This is number 12 gauge wire. Now, to tell me how much to strip back, if you look on the back of your receptacle, there's what's called a strip gauge, and it tells you exactly how much you want to do it. So I just observe the strip gauge and then just kind of guesstimate while I'm looking right at it exactly how much. So about that much is a decent amount. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and strip these back. Get them all ready. Okay, now on the receptacle itself, it's got one green, a silver, a brass, and a brass. So it's almost idiot-proof. The green goes on the green lug, and the other two lugs go on the two brass lugs, and that's as simple as that. So the most complicated one is the green. I'll start there, put that one in the tab, and then tighten that up. Okay, I've got all my terminals on there nice and tight. Now, when you're looking at the receptacle, and the camera's not going to pick this up, but there's writing on here. You want to put the writing so that you can read it so that it's right side up. Now, when I put the receptacle in, what I like to do is I like to push the wires down, and then I come back up with it to try to create an accordion effect on the wires when I go to put them in. All right. And then I'll go ahead and screw it right in. I start the top, then I'll go ahead and start the bottom, and then I'll get it nice leveled out. Okay, pretty much that's the final thing, but before we go any further, let's go ahead and do a continuity check again. So again, continuity check. Go over to the ground, check the ground. Okay, ground is good. Nothing on that leg. And nothing on the other leg, which is the way it's supposed to be. Now I'll check it leg to leg. And there's nothing leg to leg. And so the ground is good, and there's nothing leg to leg. So right now, we're good. Okay, now you'll notice how I've got the electrical panel over here. I've got cardboard covering all the parts that potentially where the electricity is on. I've run my snake down the panel over to here, and that's going from the junction box up there over to right here. Now, I'm going to run 6 conductors up here, 2 reds, 2 blacks, and 2 greens, and I have all my wire pre-cut ready to go. Because one set of pair of 1 black and 1 red, which is 1 pair, has to go to 1 breaker, and I have to make sure that I can't cross-contaminate these, otherwise it'll mess up on the breakers. well, every so many, I've just tied them together with black electrical tape every couple of feet, just so that I can say, okay, I know that this is going to be one circuit. Now I need to bring these wires and pull them up the wall. So what I've done is I've taken one green, pulled back a little bit of insulation like so, and now I've come like this and just bring this back upon itself like that. Then what I'm going to do is take some black electrical tape, and I'm going to start right here where it makes that turn, and I'm going to come back upon itself, so that is one solid connection. And then right about here, I'm going to introduce one of these, come back a little bit. Now I have another green wire here, and I just have to make sure that it's a separate green wire. I'll go ahead and put that in right now. And then there's one more black and one more red. Okay, hang on. Just kind of capturing it like this. Okay, and now one more pair of red and black. Let me make sure that this is not the one that I've already connected. And go ahead and capture that right here. Put that on. Now once this is done, we're going to do a two-man team. One person's going to be on the bottom pushing, and the other person's going to be on the top pulling the snake. And this is going to get us to where we need to go. Now when you want to terminate these, to make this easy, to pull this off, you want to create a flag for yourself. So rather than just cut it and then wrap it nice and tight, I pull out a little bit of an extra, go like this, and then create a flag by putting the tape upon itself. So this way when I go on the opposite end to pull it apart, it's already started for me and I don't have to fight it on the other end. That's just a good standard operating procedure. All right, we're going to go off camera for a second. We're going to go ahead and pull this up the wall. Okay, YouTubers, I hope you can see up here. I know it's a dark video, but we're up in the ceiling. This is the junction box right here. This is the conduit that is going to the service panel. These are the two flex conduits going to the L620 receptacles that are already wired in and ready to go. Now, again, I told you that when we ran the wires, I joined together with some black electrical tape, one pair of red and black, and the same thing here. So I know this is one circuit and this is one circuit here. So let me just start with one circuit, which will be, let's just say, this top circuit right here, and I'll show you how to wire that in. Now this one here, which is the white wire, but I put red electrical tape on it, we'll do the red connection first. So basically what I like to do is come up to where I'm going to join the two wires together. Go ahead, trim that so that they're completely flat and equal. Then go ahead and take my number 12 wire stripper, strip that back about that much. Same thing here. Then you take a pair of lineman's pliers, like this right here, lineman's pliers. Join the two wires together, put them exactly parallel, and then twist. Oops, hold on, get them nice and parallel, and then twist your lineman's pliers. And then, once those are nice and twisted, and that's locking in that connection, then I'm going to take a red wire nut, which is right here, lock that in there, like so. Get that nice and taut. And I like to see the wires begin to twist on the other side. That's the appropriate tension right there. Then I'll just go ahead and bury that in the very back of the box, since that was the first one that I did. Now the next one in this set is the black. Now I'm just going to follow that through with the black and do the exact same thing that you just saw me do with the red. So the first thing I do is get the wires together, parallel them out, strip back my number 12 with about that much on it. Do the same with the other one, right there, Now that they're nice and stripped back, get them parallel to one another, exactly equal on the ends, like so. Then I'll go ahead with my lineman's pliers and then twist and get these nice and twisted out. Once they're fully twisted, take my red wire nut, which is the appropriate wire nut for what I'm dealing with. Get that right on there. Now twist that out and keep twisting until the wires curl in back. Like this. See the way that's curling? That's what you're looking for. Once that's done, I'm going to go ahead and bury that one back there. Now on the greens, it doesn't matter because I'm going to tie down each green individually. So, same thing. So basically, I'm just going to keep doing that for all these wires and button this junction box up. Then we're going to work down at the service panel. All right, so here's my opened up service panel right here. I had removed one breaker from right here because I went to go and match that up. So I'm going to use this tool here to put this on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself some extra protection here. I'm just going to take some black electrical tape and I'm just going to wrap that around. Oops. Wrap that around my tool here. So this way, as much of the tool that I can protect is possible. And this way, there's no exposed metal that is on the outside there. So basically, that's how I'm going to do it. So I'll put this breaker that I took out. I took this one out just to match it up to buy these at the store, and then we'll go and install these. All right, so now that I'm in the panel itself, and I'm actually going to be putting my hands in there for the absolute safety, I'll go ahead and put on my insulated gloves with the leather protectors, like so. And then I'll drop down my face shield on my arc flash hard hat. And that's about as safe as you're going to get here. I'll pull this down. And I'm going to go ahead and put this breaker in right over here. I'll make sure that the breaker is in the off position when I do this. Okay. All right, so basically you saw that one. So I just anchored that one in here. One interesting thing to note, there's no wires here and the breakers are on. I'm just going to shut those off. Okay, these are all off. Everything else looks okay. This breaker here is on, but there's no wire. I'm going to shut that one off. Okay, so now, looking at the service panel, I need to decide where do I want to put my breakers. And to me, it makes the most sense to just go ahead and attach here and here. So I need to pull out these 4 screws so that I can have screws to tap into right here. So let me pull those out. These are live bus bars right here. If you don't know what you're doing and you're this deep into a panel, you're in trouble. Because if you take your finger and touch these conductors, which I am completely protecting myself from, that's the thing that's going to put that electricity through your body, through the ground, and short out your heart. So this is where you don't want to be messing around if you don't know what's going on. So I'm just going to take that screw, put it down, do the same thing here. Because it's a 2-pole breaker. All right, now with the breaker in the off position, I'm going to go ahead and put this breaker in. And now I'm going to put in 1 bolt at a time. All right, now that I got that breaker in, I'm going to go ahead and test it. I'm going to turn that on, and I'm just going to make sure that I got good voltage coming out the other side. $215 volts, that's good. I'm going to shut it off. Let's make sure that it works in the off position. And that's good. Now I'll check each one to ground. And we're completely good. So that's a very good breaker that I've just installed. I'm going to shut it off. And now I'm just going to do the repeat thing that you just saw me do for the first breaker. I'm going to repeat that and do that for the second breaker and get that going. Okay, 2 breakers are in, tested, the breakers are solid, I'm good. I'm going to drop my helmet down and I'm going to bring in 1 green at a time. I'm going to run it in back of these, and then the green grounding lug is back here. I've already decided what 2 lugs I'm going to land them on, and I'm going to land them on them 1 at a time. Okay, so you can see where I tied in my 2 greens to the ground lug right here. So the 2 greens are fine. Now I'm going to go ahead and take 1 pair of red and black, basically come in right here and land right here as it's going to be my next step. The basic order is supposed to be this. It's supposed to go black, red, and blue, black, red, blue, and all the way through the panel. That's the way that it's originally designed to do, because this is a 3-phase conductor, and you can see black, red, and blue right here. I don't have any blues. I'm only working with red and black, so that's what I'm going to have to deal with. But I can try to be somewhat consistent. This breaker should be off. There's no wire there. So black, red, blue, black, red, blue, black, red, blue, black, red, and blue. So I can do a black, red, blue here. So I'll do black, I'll do red, black, and then it's supposed to, which is supposed to be a blue, and then black and red. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm way down here. Hold on a second. Black, red, blue, black, red, blue, black, red, blue, black, red. This one's supposed to be blue, and then black. So I'll just put the red one on top here. This one's blue right here, so I'll do black, red, and then I'll do red and black. Black, red, black. So that's how I'll do it, just to try to keep it somewhat straight, you know, trying to keep the same continuity of colors. Okay, now I've got the breakers in, they're in the off position, and the wires are connected. Before, I've already tested the top one there, so I know that one's good. Let me show you how to do that. Before I throw this breaker on, now that my wires are pretty much in their final resting position, all I got to do is put some zip ties on this just to bring that in. I'll do that after I confirm the second breaker. Let me drop my shield. I'm going to put this on continuity. Put that right there. Make sure I'm on a ground source. Okay. Now I'm going to touch the wires. Nothing's to ground, which is good. Now I'm going to make sure they're not touching one another. And they're not. Now I'm going to throw the breaker. I'm going to use my non-dominant hand. I'm going to extend myself from the panel as much as possible. And then while I was looking away, I threw the switch on. That's the way to do it. Now I'm going to switch over to volts. And I'm going to put this so hopefully you can see it. Okay, let's check voltage. $210 volts, which is good. And I'll check it this way. 123. 123. Now we'll go ahead and check the receptacle. Okay, it should be this receptacle here. This is the ground lug here. So let me go ground to phase. 120. Oops, let me just push that button. And check it over here. 120. Now I'll go phase to phase. That's good. We'll do it from the ground source here. And the other one. And we'll just check the ground there. Nothing. And we'll just do a continuity check from the, hold on, let me put that on. From here to the ground. Good. And from here to the ground. Okay. So basically, you know that we have good voltage going to our receptacles. Nothing is shorted out. Everything looks good. Now we just need to put some zip ties on and then button that panel back up. Okay, so basically I got my zip ties on and I just want to button this panel back up. This here is the first aid piece that goes on. The blank pieces that we were using, 32, 34, 36, and 38 have been removed. I'm just going to drop my shield down and button this up. Show you how to do that. So very gently, I'm going to bring this into play. Like that. While holding it, I'm going to start that screw. And then go ahead and get the top one over here. And now the top two are in. And now this one here. Okay. Those are all in. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the panel door on. All right, since the door swings this way, we'll put you on the other side. Okay, now, the way that this one works is it latches here onto right here. So I'm going to make sure that I have no obstructions or any wires like that. There's also a couple of feet here at the bottom. Those are supposed to rest right here and right here. Okay, so I put the feet in first. Line that up. And the first screw that I want to get is this top right one. Now once that one is secured, the panel, kind of holds itself in because it's holding it right there. So I'll just go ahead and get the rest. All right, now that that's on, I can start taking off my arc flash protection. The door is good, and we're just going to button this job back up. Basically, you got to see the whole job pretty much from start to finish on exactly how we did the entire thing. I hope you enjoyed the video and maybe learned a few tips or anything. If you liked the video, please click on the like button to give me some extra likes. Check out my YouTube channel, which is Ken Training. If you would like to, leave a comment, and it's always interesting to read the comments. And that's it. And I'll see you on the flip side. Over and out.